All right, that was a pretty subpar.
I was getting ready to call that out,
but it's all right. It was pianissimo.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it works.
We're back and we're sticking with our south down 75 trend. We hit up Anya last time, so we're kind of doing his partner in crime and another member of the southern states, Mr. TJ Choquette, as I was corrected in the pronunciation of his last name. But like we're just saying, like we don't really introduce ourselves. Like I've never gone up to somebody in the marching band world and be like, "Hello, my name is Evan Worrell." It's like, "Hey, I'm Evan, man. What's up?" But
I guess
anyway,
for me, I'm different on that. Too many people know me as Fantini. So
Yeah, you're just
everyone knows my last name.
True, but you also go by Fantini sometimes. Like people are like, "Hey, Fantini."
That's true.
So
that's true.
What about Mikey Midrange? Do people still call
that? You
what? What is Mikey Midrange?
I never told you this. That was my nickname on tour because we played basketball all the time. So the snare line at Bluecoats had gym cleaning duty during the season, and we'd kick everybody out after we were packing up during EPL, and we'd have that empty gym. So we basically stole a basketball from one of the schools and just kept it with us on the bus. And we would just play pickup games or horse or whatever. And they figured out pretty quickly that I had a pretty solid mid-range jump shot. That's about all I could do, but I could knock him down. Was it you or Taha, TJ, that gave me that nickname?
Gasparini would always hit the corner.
But that's gonna stay for a while. But anyway, we got TJ, man. What's going on? How's the weather down south?
It's good. It's cold, but probably not as cold as where you're at. So we missed out all that snow. I know North Carolina got damn blizzarded on. But
yeah, they got blasted.
They got hammered. It's like it was 58 here today, so
it was pretty warm in Kentucky. It wasn't that cold.
We're like probably low 50s, high 40s as a high, somewhere in there.
I'll take that for December.
Do you guys in Georgia have a lot of below freezing temperature in the winter?
Yeah, as a low, we'll get down to below freezing. We'll go down to the 20s quite often, but normally it's not too bad.
All right, well, before we let TJ formally introduce himself, let's go ahead and intro this sucker. Welcome, everyone, to the Aged Out Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Fantini, or Mikey Midrange, as you just found out. And with me, as always, is...
Evan Worrell, and I honestly can't think of a nickname that holds up to Mikey Midrange, so yeah.
Jeez. Now next time I'm in Richmond, Kentucky, I'm going to have to shoot ball with you and show you.
We'll see.
Yep. We'll figure it out. So
anyway, TJ, welcome, my man.
Hello. I'm going to crack a LaCroix. I don't drink beer, but I got a LaCroix. So let me see if I can add some ambiance.
Dude, the only thing I ever hear about LaCroix is like people on Twitter making extremely bad comparisons of LaCroix to like anything in life.
Yep.
Yeah, most LaCroix sucks, man. There's one good flavor.
What's the flavor?
Pamplemousse, which is a word for grapefruit, apparently. So grapefruit, that's it. I've had lime, it's terrible. Orange is awful. Grapefruit gets the job done.
Pamplemousse.
Good to know.
It's a new one.
I don't even know if that's how it's pronounced. I'm just guessing the A is an ah sound. It could be pamplemousse, but that sounds worse.
That sounds way worse.
Sounds gross.
But anyway, welcome, man. Thanks for like we said for joining us and trying to have you on and keep going with a different perspective and kind of give the fans a little bit more background on people from different geographies and different parts of the country.
Yep. So if you want, go ahead, introduce yourself, talk about where you've marched, where you've taught, what years, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So, TJ Choquette. I live down here in Atlanta. Been here for like 24 years. Prior to that, I was in Seattle, but grew up here predominantly. Not very southern, but I've, been here. Growing up, I guess before Bluecoats, I went to the great North Forsyth High School. I would say that's where I started drumming. I guess I started drumming in middle school, but I initially wanted to be a trumpet player because my sister was a trumpet player. And then I decided I wanted to be a snare drummer. And the funniest thing is I went to like the sixth grade audition, right? And they make you play like paradiddles and all that stuff, and I was awful. I was just an abysmal percussionist. And like they said, nah. And then I played trumpet I was actually pretty good. Like my embouchure, whatever that is, seemed to be better than what they expected. And they were like, you should play trumpet. Yeah, but somehow my sister talked me into not playing trumpet because I don't think she wanted me to play the same instrument as her for some reason. So I ended up drumming. So I went to Northside High School in a little suburb of Atlanta. Marched some bass drum. Little boy on a giant bass drum when I was a freshman, and then eventually played snare drum there. Let's see. After I graduated, I went to the University of Georgia, UGA. Go Dogs. And that's kind of where I got my first introduction to college band. And I guess this is kind of a running motif in like my life is every time I go out to like a new thing, whether it's college band or DCI, I always massively overrate how good I think people are. Because like growing up in high school, I didn't know I was good. Like I just worked my ass off and, you know, it seemed pretty good for a high schooler. But like I always thought like DCI was crazy. WGI, all these dudes were nuts. I thought that was like never attainable.
Because they look like robots. When you watch all those videos, they look like superheroes to you. They're like your idols.
Yeah, they look incredible, right? Like growing up, I watched like I think BDO3, The Phenomenon of Cool was like the first drum video I ever saw. And it was the one with them in the lot with those reefed ass snare drums in the opener. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just got all these solos and they're trading and they're splitting singles and doing backsticks, and that's a pretty stacked talent-wise group to witness though. So.
It was nuts, man, and like that's kind of what inspired me in high school was like watching BDO3. There was a Cavaliers line where they had little hi-hats mounted on their snares in like the early 2000s. Do you remember that year?
It's like 2001 or
was it 01?
I think it was Niagara Falls or is either one of those shows or
it was
or something.
Yeah, it was 01. It was nasty. I loved it. And then like frameworks I saw and like that really got me going. You know, and growing up through high school, like I learned all the beats. I learned like a Cavaliers 95 lick. You know, I learned the BD like 99 spree and all this stuff. And it was like before even like snare science was a thing, right? It was like Drum Hard. Did you guys ever go to Drum
Dude, Drum Hard and Drum Corps Planet was like the forum. People post stuff. Yeah, I remember Drum Hard.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I got good, right? I learned under a guy in high school who marched Boston in like 03. And he was a good teacher. He exposed me to a lot of stuff. But a lot of it was me kind of just teaching myself traditional. Like we were a match grip school, and I was like, yo, I want to do DCI. Can we just do traditional? He's like, yeah. So I was like, all right. So I taught myself that I was terrible. And then eventually you just kind of get decent at it, I guess. And like the way I got good, I think, was just like practicing all these BD things, all these Cavalier things, right? So to kind of zoom forward, I put these people on a pedestal, right? I thought they were incredible. And when I went to UGA, like I figured it was the same thing, right? College band, 90,000 people, football team is sick. Like these guys are going to be the best of the best. And like I show up and just like, no, not one bit, right? So there was like 2 or 3 good vets and then just like a lot of crap. So I'm sitting there like, and I realized it as I was warming up. Like we're all on pads, like waiting to get put on a drum. And I'm just like looking at these people's hands. I'm like, damn, like this is not good, right? So eventually, seriously, and that's a motif. Like every time I go to a new place, whether it's WGI or DCI, like I always think these guys are going to be incredible. And I'm glad I kind of thought that because like that's what kept me working hard is because I don't think I ever knew I was good until like I showed up somewhere. I was like, damn, okay, I'm not bad. But yeah, so I did UGA, Go Dogs, did the drum line there for 2 years. I got spit on by an LSU fan.
Nice. Very nice.
I got spit on by a South Carolina fan, and an LSU fan poured beer on me. That was cool.
I've heard LSU fans are the worst.
Dude,
like their fan base is terrible.
Yeah. No, they're all.
Dude, I bet that would be kind of like fun though, even though it was not technical drumming or like this perfected thing. Just going to those games with like 100,000 people just screaming and being able to cheer. I mean, you get in free games, probably got some free gear.
Oh yeah, no, it's hype. It's definitely fun. You definitely get worse though. You definitely get worse as a drummer, 100%. But it's a lot of fun, right? Being on the field, it's loud as hell, you know, and the orientations we'll call them, right? When you're a rookie and you get oriented to the group, we use that word, and in apostrophes there.
We can talk about
quotations.
that later.
Yeah, right. So that's fun, right? You get the new freshman and get to do your thing there. So I mean, it's a lot of fun. But no, it's not very good, right? I guess you have some good ones. Jack State.
There's a couple good college drum
Western
lines,
Carolina.
but not many at all.
Right. So I did
I
that.
bet there's like one per state.
Maybe, yeah.
That's generous. That seems generous. Yeah. But I did that for 2 years, and like I thought it would be incredible, but it was just fun, right? And then I did WGI. I started with a group called Pariah. We were open class. My best friend, my best man actually, Zach Marshall, who is now the visual guy in Atlanta Quest.
What year was that?
It was 09 is when I started. So I went to UGA, and a lot of the UGA guys did Pariah. So I went to Pariah, and the same thing, man. They came in like 08. They were world class. I think they came in like 16th, the first group out of finals, right? So I thought all these dudes are going to be awesome because the couple people I thought, I knew that marched it. Zach Marshall was on the UGA snare line. Another guy named Austin Wehunt, who actually went to my high school. He was there too. I thought it was going to be awesome, but I went out and like kind of the same thing. Like they were all just pretty good. Not incredible. And I was like, damn, all right. So I guess I can do stuff. So I did that in 09 and we won. World champs. It's my only world championship, baby. Open class. And the way we won, we started in world class and we're so bad. We got kicked out.
Demoted.
Yeah, we got demoted. We went to the Indy Regional and that was 09. So that was Touch. And that was
Totem.
Yeah, but no, Mystique was there too, and their show the Death one. Requiem. Yep. Right, and what Requiem actually beat the hell out of Touch because Touch was kind of whack in the beginning of the season. But we went out there
really dirty.
Yeah,
they were dirty at finals, dude.
Yeah, come on. We went out there and we competed against them, and we dropped like a 67. 64 or something like that, and Mystique won with like a 91. They beat us by like 25 points, and we were like, all right. So we got kicked out. I don't know if they consulted us or if we like did it ourselves, but we got kicked out of world class. But it was cool because I won. I won the championship of the world. It was really fun. So open class.
I forget because we competed against you guys that year. I was like,
Hayes Creek.
Yeah, man.
Was that the robot show?
We got the bronze. That was the robot show.
Oh, that's when you started with like 8 bars of just like 12 to 6 paradiddles.
Yeah, it was a bunch of paradiddles and puttitas, and they were just like, just play it loud. And I was like, can do.
Yeah. No, we had an easy book, man. That show is easy, but I guess it was transparent and made sense. So we won. That was fun. And the next year I did another year of Pariah, same thing, but we came in like 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that. And then in 2011, there was, at the time, like 3 groups. This is kind of funny. 3 groups in Georgia. There was a world-class group, Odyssey, who was the jam, like back in 05, 06. They came in like 5th.
I forgot they started the shorty snares with Yamaha trends.
They did, man. They did. And they had a couple, like, their 06 snare break was nasty. It was so cool. And then they kind of, like, started fading off. 07, 08, kind of went away. There was Pariah, which was us. And then there was Atlanta Quest, who was doing their own thing. And the funniest thing, man, Atlanta Quest was always Pariah's whipping boy, man. Like, they never beat us, ever, no matter how confident they were. Atlanta Quest never beat I think they beat us one time in, like, prelims of a show, and then we beat them in finals over, like, years and years. It's kind of funny that I kicked their ass for, like, years, and now I'm part of that organization. But Pariah and Odyssey merged, because I guess they wanted to consolidate the talent. And I agree. I think we had like too many groups for the little amount of talent that we had at the time. So they made a group called Terminus Atlanta Percussion. Did you guys ever see this?
It's a mouthful.
I think I remember that group. I think the name rings a bell.
We were Sad Clowns. Did you ever see the clown show?
I have not seen that.
No.
Oh, really? Oh man, thank God, thankful. Yeah. So that group, actually, the talent was good. Somehow I like recruited a kid from cadets to come march snare. We had a bunch of dudes that ended up at like Blue Coats and Spirit in Boston, and they're teaching a lot of places now. The dudes that run Equinox, like they came out of that group. But we had great tech staff, but like the design was just whack. And we were just like Sad Clowns faces painted. It was just a really embarrassing show. Our first show we got like a 82. Our last show we got like a 76. We got like 6 points worse.
What?
over the year.
How does that happen?
I don't know. We went to Spartanburg, WGI, and got like an 82, and then in finals we came second to last. We beat Freedom. Take that, Freedom. You guys remember the group Evolution Percussion?
I do remember Evolution.
Yeah.
We were the only group not named Freedom they ever beat.
Oh my gosh.
We were the second group to ever lose to them. Yeah. So, yeah. So I was the center snare of that. I was the captain clown, I like to call myself. That's a big joke down here. Everyone remembers that line in Georgia and makes fun of it like nonstop. So that's a lot of fun. So that was my build up to eventually marching the good lines that I marched. Which were Mystique and Bluecoats. And funnily enough, I would say the cleanest snare line I was ever on before I got to Mystique was probably my high school's senior year snare line. It was nasty.
Nice.
There was only 3 of us, but so I did Mystique.
Clean is clean.
Yeah.
It's clean, baby. I did Mystique 12 and 13. 12 was New Tribe.
Nut rib.
Nut rib.
Yeah. Did you guys call it that at X?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that was your guys' light show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys played some cheeses.
We did play some cheeses.
Played some really... Dude, I watched that video not that long ago.
Played some cheeses.
Those were like at like weren't they 190 something, Evan?
It's like 192 or
I don't know how we did it. I can't move my hands that fast. I don't know how that happened.
That was the light show. It was a very grandiose idea that was executed on a minimal budget.
Yeah, dude, it was a prime example of the whole audition. Right after the auditions ended, they set the group and all the spots, and they were telling us the idea. And the Tims had some incredible ideas. Like, we were all talking after rehearsal and stuff on weekends, like, man, if they can pull this off, this is going to be a show nobody ever forgets. And then we get into the season, realize we have $0, and a lot of this stuff logistically just isn't possible. And it kind of just spiraled downward from there.
That stinks.
But we had a good snare line, so
yeah, it was a fun group of
you
10 dudes.
10 here or 11?
Yeah, we had 10.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot of snare guts.
Yep.
Yeah, so I did Nut Rib, apparently is what y'all called it, New Tribe. I was on the end of that. That show was crazy, man. That show was so hard. And then the next year was Taboo. Came in third.
Suits, right?
The suits, baby. Yeah. Much more comfortable than looking like a ballerina or a figure skater the year before. I think, like, if you just looked at one of us by ourselves in a vacuum, we just look like figure skaters. So I'm glad I didn't have to wear that again. But no, yeah. So I wore the suit. Came in third that year. Almost went to X actually in 13. Almost won.
Yeah,
nice.
Tom and Joe probably were. I know Kevin Lewandowski did from that 12 line.
Why didn't you go?
Huh?
Why didn't you go?
I was done. I finished the summer in 2012, and I was honestly just... Josh called me about September. I was walking back to my dorm on campus, and I just told him, I was like, man, I don't want to do it anymore. Evan aged out. The cymbal player from Kentucky that was doing it wasn't doing it, I don't think. Logan didn't do 13, right, Evan?
No, I don't think so.
No. There were a couple other, like Kevin Hankins and Aaron Ferris that were doing it. But
you could have marched 14 too, right?
I could have done 13 and 14.
Oh, you had the
bonus.
Double year, the bonus year.
Yeah, and I really considered coming back and doing 14. But it was one of those things, I just didn't want to make the 2.5-hour drive every weekend. And if I'm being honest, my experience in 11 and 12 wasn't incredible. Those 2 years are kind of like a dark period from a show design, administrative standpoint. So I kind of...
Well, we almost folded in 2012.
Yeah, we did.
Really?
Yeah. We didn't rehearse for almost the entire month of December because we didn't have anywhere to rehearse.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, so it's just a combination of a lot of things. And I never regretted it once, except when I was sitting in the stands watching their finals run.
In 13?
Yeah. That was the only time I really was like, man, I kind of wish I'd done that. But I kind of knew they were going to win. I called they were going to win. I saw some early season rehearsal videos and figured out what the show was in like January. And I was like, this is going to be awesome.
Man, we beat them in Indy.
Well, they weren't that clean. They weren't super clean. Just the show, just like Touch, it kind of carried them from a GE standpoint. And they were good. I'm not saying they weren't a good drum line, because they obviously were. But they weren't like piss clean by any means.
Yeah, yeah.
Did the New Tribe show, did you march barefoot that show?
Yeah, man.
Dude, how was that?
No, thank you.
Yeah, we didn't know we were marching barefoot. Like, because Mantra they did. And this year, we went to the first show in Dayton or Indy, right? And we competed. And I think y'all beat us in prelims and we lost. And we wore shoes in there. I think they had us in marching shoes. And I guess they got the comment of like, nah, don't do that from the judges. So that night we go back to our rehearsal site and they're like, all right, here we go. Take off the shoes. And we had to do like a 3-hour practice just barefoot.
Oh my
And just
gosh.
like jump in like that? 3 hours marching and playing barefoot?
For the first, it may not be 3 hours, but the first time it was like, here we go. And like it hurts.
I'm sure it does.
We never practiced like that again. We just wore no shoes just for the runs from there. In finals, it's not bad, right? Because finals has that like cushion,
It's like the padding.
Yeah.
But like every other place, it's gym floors, and it was really just that first rehearsal where we're like, Jesus Christ, like this sucks. Like it was so painful. But it was just the one time thing, and then we went out in finals hoping the lack of shoe would, propel us to beat X, and then we didn't. But
then that season swung at WKU for you guys.
Yeah, we did. That was good. Man, RCC that year, that's one of my favorite shows ever.
12?
Yeah, dude, that's a good show. The War Show.
Yep.
The Gift, unbelievable, great show.
Dude, the moment where they have like the silence, where like the ears are ringing and they're doing that like punching and dude, so sick.
It's a very cool show.
Yeah, so I guess I did Mystique 12, and then in between I did Blue Coats, obviously with you, Mikey mid-range.
Yep.
Best experience of my life, I would say, from a marching perspective, and then went back.
We were worried for a minute. Spring training, those shin splints you had.
Jesus, yeah,
those were nasty.
It was bad, dude. It was bad. But
man, there was actually, now granted, that drum line was a lot of old men. The whole snare line, except for Joe Woody, were age outs. And I know, like, Anye had a bunch of knee problems that whole summer, and you had shin splints for, like, 3 weeks of spring training. Did they just go away randomly?
It was like it was like the third week, I think. Yeah, where they were terrible, and I had to, like, roll them out and constantly do. But what we did, right, is because we warmed up on that tennis court and did, like, a bunch of plyometric jumping stuff and, like, fast twitch agility things on, like, that hard surface. Mm-hmm. And I stopped doing that. And then we would go on those runs, and I kind of stopped doing that as well because that was on the concrete. I stopped that for like a week and a half, and then they were fine and didn't come back.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's the way you fix shin splints. You have to rest. You've got to rest your lower leg muscles, and running on concrete is not a good thing for that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you guys didn't have a super demanding visual package that year either.
Yeah, dude. That drill was so easy.
Man, yeah. Especially coming from Mystique that year. And, like, Mystique was so hard in 2012. Like, that show was so hard. And then I went to Coates. And there was, like, a learning adjustment period for me because it was my first drum corps experience.
Yeah.
So, like, I definitely was getting my ass kicked in the beginning. But, yeah, by the middle and by the end of spring training, everything was a breeze.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
That was never my drum corps experience.
Yeah, you were in Crown just running around 500 miles per hour.
Dude, I don't know if you knew this, TJ, but I almost marched Crown in 2012.
Really?
I was 3 or 4 days out from the November camp, and I'd been telling Josh Bricky, who was the battery coordinator that year, or whatever he was, that I was coming there, and I changed my mind. I had a Facebook conversation with T-Gas, and he pretty much, I didn't want to learn Crown's packet. It was super long and complicated, and Tom kind of just convinced me to go to Blue Coats. And once spring training started, I knew Frankie, and I'd met Andy Kim before and Zach Jancheski, and I'd texting with them during spring training, and they were like, dude, our drill fucking blows. Pardon my French.
Dude, I I think it was the first show. No, it was the second show, right? We had the show in Akron. The second show was in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we were watching them they went on right before us, and we were watching them from the end zone. And I remember who I was with. It was like a couple snare drummers. We were just watching their drill in the opener. Like,
oh God.
Oh my God. Like, this is night and day. Like, they move more in the opener than we move the entire show.
Yeah, I already knew during spring training I made the right decision going to Bluecoats for that summer. But after I saw it, I was like, oh, thank God I didn't do that.
Yeah. No,
That's funny.
That was nuts.
I mean, obviously you guys weren't even worn out enough to have your late night basketball sessions. That was never a thought in my spring training days. I was like, please let me lay down.
Dude, we had some pretty serious 5-on-5 pickup games during EPL.
They were awesome.
It was fun.
It was so fun. Do you remember when we swam in that pool? Were you with us, Fantini? Like
yeah, it was Wisconsin. It was Wisconsin, wasn't it? Wasn't that the day where it was so hot? Ensemble, you could see the heat coming off the turf, and then we didn't have ensemble. They just like, all right, production run of the intro. All right, go sit in the shade for 10 minutes, come back and do the next chart, and so on and so forth. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there's that one day. There's that one day in Wisconsin where it wasn't Wisconsin, but we did circle drill like 50 times, and then Tim Jackson sent us away to warm up and be back in 30 minutes. But instead of warming up, we just went over there. We laid on the ground. And then 2 by 2, we jumped into that person's swimming pool in the back of their house, and then came back.
I do remember that. I watched it. I didn't do it. I didn't.
Oh, you didn't do it. And then we met the lady with the lady that brought us knockoff Gatorades.
I do remember that. I do remember that.
What is knockoff Gatorade? Is it like Powerade? Like
no, it's knockoff Powerade. I don't know. It was crazy.
That day was awesome, but you do know the day I'm talking about, right? Where the staff hooked up, the school had a swimming pool.
I remember in Tennessee, like we went to a public pool.
Yeah, we did that one too, but this was a different pool up in Wisconsin. We had a turf field. The school was super big and nice, and the drum staff snuck the drum line.
Oh yes, we got in trouble.
We did get in trouble.
Yeah, me and Chase. I remember Chase, and someone else got caught.
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently, you guys had too many pool days to keep them all straight.
Yeah, we had a few. It was fun. We also cut a visual block. Like the snare line just didn't go to a visual block in the morning one day.
We just watched YouTube videos, snuck on the food truck, and then played Twitch on the bench.
Yep.
Nice. Productive.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how you come in second, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you do if you want to lose to Blue Devils. You do that.
I know about that too. So.
Yeah,
we could all raise our hand if we were second to Blue Devils. So,
yep.
And my whole thing, man, is I just wanted to play Blue Devils in basketball, 5-on-5.
We'd have beat them
for the championship.
Yeah, like
we 100% would have beat them.
That's fine. I want to play you in basketball. I want me at point guard.
Here's the lineup. Taha. T-Gas, Taha, you, me, and Aaron Ferris.
Yep. And then Anya and Chase in there too.
To come off the bench or whatever rotation.
Chase just gets in there and plays D.
Yep. He was scrappy. he was a scrappy dude, man.
That's for the trophy.
Yeah, that was we would have won.
So did BD win overall and drums that year, and you guys were second overall and second in drums?
No, we got like sixth. The core got like sixth.
Sixth overall.
Okay. The second in drums.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this kind of segues into my next. So BD won the Fred Samper, so then they should have a trophy for second place. Now I feel like.
No, don't get all PC on me, Evan.
Yeah, come on now. No participation trophies.
Well, it was kind of like a joke based on the photo I stalked on your Facebook earlier with you and the Shiva.
Oh.
Dude, so how did that happen? She's just walking around down at retreat and you see her on the field?
So, yeah, the Shiva, right? So Shiva is Janine. Shiva is a character. If you don't know, if you're listening, from the league, right? The league is a show. It was a show on FX about fantasy football, right? Yeah, and it's just funny. And she's like this character that they all like worship because she used to be like ugly in high school, and they made fun of her. But now she's kind of hot. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It's funny though.
Yeah, it's funny in context, I guess. But she marched, I guess, Phantom, and she was just there in Indy checking out finals, and she was there at our age out ceremony. Right, and she was just talking to people, and they have this thing in the league where they Shiva blast her, which it sounds gross, right? But basically, they just like get on their knees and like scream her full name, her like full I think Indian name. I don't know. It could be Indian. I'm not sure. Shiva Kamini Sona Skanda Kram. Something like that.
Yeah.
And that's just like a running motif in the show. And I met her, and this is going to ruin it for some people, because a lot of people thought it was organic, where just like I went up to her and just Shiva blasted her and screamed it from the top of my lungs right behind her. But it wasn't. We choreographed it. I went up to her and I asked her, hey, can I Shiva blast you? And she was like, sure, that'd be so funny. And then like we just kind of planned out the scene. So it's a little forced, but no one knows that until right now.
Well,
but it was funny because this is what I usually do when we have a guest. I'll like do some research and look back through Facebook, because you can usually find funny things. And I saw that, and then I was like, well, what's this chick doing there anyway? And so I looked her up, and her real name is like Janina Gabankar.
Yeah.
I butchered the pronunciation of that, but like you said, she like tried out for Phantom, ended up like going to like Yale School of Drama, which obviously worked out super well for her. And then I saw something else where she like remade this song with like, it's like on YouTube with like Jersey Surf's brass line and drum line and pit and stuff, and she's like playing marimba. I was like, this is hilarious.
So, man, I tried to. So she actually DM'd me on Twitter out of nowhere, and I don't know how she found me. I think I told her my name, or maybe someone tagged it, but she DM'd me like maybe a couple days after. They said, oh my God, someone posted it already, and then like sent me this YouTube video of me doing it. Right? There's a YouTube video. I think it's just like Blue Coat does a Shiva blast. Yeah, right. Oh, it's got 14,000 views. It's got 14,000 views. That's a lot of views.
That's
right.
Awesome.
So she messages me. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta shoot my shot. Right? I gotta shoot my shot. So like I said something flirty, and then she goes, killed it. Congrats on it. Or I said like, thank you. That was so fun. Glad to meet you. She goes, killed it. Congrats on one hell of a season. And then I like try to keep the conversation going, and she just ghosted me. It was my one chance with the action, right?
Shut down.
At least you didn't shy away from it.
That's
she didn't
true.
She didn't block me though, so there's that.
Yeah.
That's a one up. That's a win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a,
You've had some other interesting celebrity run-ins recently too. Before, I guess this is going to sidetrack us, but before we like start getting back into drums, you recently you're in the FIFA, right? Big in the FIFA.
Love FIFA. So you recently played a celebrity in a FIFA match, like in person, right? Not like over the whatever Xbox Live or PS4 channel or whatever. Yeah, no. Yeah, I totally in person in his hotel room. Yeah, so it's a dude named Chad Ochocinco.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Chad. Yeah, so
That's
Chad
awesome.
Johnson.
That's awesome.
Chad Johnson was a former All-Pro, Pro Bowl wide receiver for the Bengals, right up in y'all's neck of the woods.
Yep.
And
they
he's
could
a
use
big,
him.
yeah, he's a big FIFA player, right? He plays a lot of FIFA is a soccer game on like PS3 or PS4 or whatever, and he always just like shit talks people on Twitter, and just like when he goes to a new town, he'll just like tweet something out. It's like, yo, I'm here. Come play me in FIFA, I'll whoop your ass. And he goes like, hashtag FIFA King. He thinks he's the shit, right? So he's kind of intimidating. I think he's probably pretty good, but every time he is somewhere, he always posts that. So for years, every time he shows up in Atlanta and says that, like, oh, my friend or I will post something like, come on, bitch, like, bring it, right? And then he never responds.
Come get these sticks.
Yeah, come catch these hands, fool. But somehow this happened to where, like, the first comment on it was my friend saying, yo, Chad, my boy TJ will waste you, blah, 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 right? And I have no idea. And then Chad Ochocinco responds on Twitter, was like, let's do it or something. Like, shoot me a DM. So I shot him a message, and I'm like, hey, man, like, where you at? Let's do this. He's like, hey, I got to go. Funnily enough, his daughter is, like, one of the fastest 12-year-old girls, like, in the entire country. She, like, races track. So she had a
Not surprising.
Yeah, she had a track race here or a track meet in Atlanta. So she was like, I got to go do that when I get back. Here's my hotel room. Meet me here at the Omni Hotel in this city in Atlanta, this neighborhood in Atlanta. We'll meet up and play. He's like, bring the Xbox or bring whatever. We'll play you. So I show up, and I'm trying to get up to the lobby, and, like, there's a bunch of celebrities down in this lobby. There's, like, Carlos Boozer, who's a former NBA All-Star for the Bulls. There was some other football player just chilling there, and somehow I get up to this dude's room, and actually my buddy who tagged me in Zach Marshall, again, he's a recurring friend from UGA and Mystique and all that. He's up there with me. And I go up and I meet him, and he's like so funny on social media, and like he was this giant personality on the NFL or in the NFL, and meeting him in person, he was a lot more reserved, and he was like super serious about beating me. Like he didn't want to, like we small talked a little bit, but he didn't want to make jokes. He didn't want to like fuck around. He just wanted to beat me in FIFA. And he listens to the commentary exclusively in Spanish, which I thought was funny because he doesn't really even like fully speak it. He just likes the experience of Spanish, I think. So anyway, we play 3 times. I beat him twice. Did we play twice? I think we played 3 times. I think he beat me once. I beat him twice. And it was in person. It was a lot of fun. And then we left. And then I hit him up to play again, and he just kind of Janina Govin cars me and doesn't respond. He just goes.
He didn't want to get worked again.
You bruised his ego, man.
And he always posts when he whoops people's asses on Twitter. Or on Twitter, he's like, "Yo, I'm the FIFA king." But I've realized like he probably loses more than I thought he does. He just doesn't post when he loses.
Yeah, hides it.
Exactly.
It's like when you went to drum corps camp. It's like, oh, I'm better at this than I thought. And he's not as good as I.
Exactly. A running motif in my life.
That's pretty funny because I don't know. We were talking about the Shiva, and I was like, I remember you posting about this Ocho Cinco thing.
It was crazy, though. Like, how fast it happened. It was like, you want to play? Yeah, sure. All right, where you at? I'll be there in 2 hours. Okay. Come to my room. Let's do this. And then he's sitting there smoking a cigar, just chilling. It's awesome.
The power of social media, man. Just
I know.
It brings people together.
Getting to play.
The great connector.
And divider.
Yeah.
At the same time. But anyway, all right. So we went through that. Went through finals. You're back. Mystique. Blah, blah, blah. I guess over all the years that I was at X, there was this... It was kind of a joke when I was there about like, oh, Rhythm X, MCM, like blah, 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 back and forth. And when I was there, it wasn't really a thing. Like, it was just like, all right, whatever. Yeah, we kind of make fun of them. I'm sure they make fun of us. But I guess back in the day, MCM and Rhythm X had more disagreements or just kind of like back and forth pranks and stuff.
Yeah.
But did you guys ever like even talk about that sort of stuff or like, oh, we got to beat Rhythm X or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to beat everyone, right? So it's kind of funny that, like, so we made a joke of it because some people are like that at Mystique. And I'm sure there's maybe a few at Rhythm X, which is like, they're like, fuck X. I can't stand him. Want to beat him so bad, right? And, like, people just have a disdain for it. There's not a lot anymore. There, as you said, there was a ton back then. But, like, there's some kids at Mystique, like, they're bred and they're born into it, right? Like the middle schools they go to, the high schools they go to in Nashville, they're like taught by Mystique people from day one, and they get there, and I don't want to say brainwashed, but like they're like so like hardcore Mystique lovers that like they just hate everyone else. It's the weirdest. Like it's not a big percentage of Mystique, but there is a decent amount of like Mystique elitists who like think they're the only group that does anything good. For instance, I won't say a name. But in 2012, right, like we're in second, it's semis night. We're going to, we're rehearsing for the second to last time. We're losing to RCC. And this vet comes in. He's like, hey, you guys are the best. No one else is anywhere near you. Like, these guys suck. The guys beating you suck. No one else does anything right. I'm like, what? Like, they're pretty good. Like, I watched them. Like, I can maybe objectively say they're better than us, right? Do I want to beat them tomorrow? Yeah. But, like, it's a weird line of thinking where like they just think they're the best, and they are a lot of the times, but like they don't not a lot, but some that's like don't respect other forms of drumming, other styles, other styles of shows. So it's weird. So that goes a little bit, and then specifically X, yeah, there's a few that hate it, that do that, but not a lot. Like we'll jokingly say it, some of us, but we don't truly believe it. We actually. Yeah. In 2012, to make fun of us hating X randomly, we just randomly picked another group to hate, and that group was Arcadia High School. So So some of us would just walk around and we'd see, and we want to do this publicly, but we just like see each other and we'd be like, "Yo, man, fuck Arcadia," and it's just like, it was kind of funny. But yeah, I'm not sure that exists a lot anymore. But
I think it's even less and less like by the years go on too. Because my first year there was in 2010, MCM did the show Fantastique, and somehow, of course, someone in our group got into Mystique's YouTube login that year, like early season, that they were posting that they had been posting all their rehearsal videos and stuff in.
Yeah.
Because this isn't exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of their username was like MCM 2010, and the password was like the show title Fantastique. So, yeah, put that together.
Yeah.
But anyway, they downloaded all the Mystique rehearsal videos and then just posted them publicly, like out there.
That's bad. See, that's a bad thing. That's a little different.
I think it's
so
funny.
they got pissed. But then in like 2011, 2012, like a lot of those people like aged out even then because there was 8 age outs in the 2010 snare line. So it just kind of like died off, and by the end of 2012, we're just like, yeah, we don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's how it was. And like, I don't know.
I knew Luke and I knew Drew and I knew like a bunch of people.
Yeah, you know each other. So, you're just friends that just happen to live geographically in different places.
Yeah, and like half the Blue Coat snare line then was like half was marching X and half was marching Mystique. It's like, and then they come back together in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. So, I didn't see it a lot. I mean, but there's some, and I think I don't know. That's one of the weird things about Mystique. It's a great place, so it'll get you better, but like that vibe, and some people like internalize that a little too much, and they almost become like elitist because of it, which some other people do as well in the activity.
For sure.
It's strange.
So I got a quick question.
Did you guys rehearse a lot?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I'll wait a second. Go ahead.
Did we rehearse a lot?
Yeah.
Like as a group, or as like?
Well, I guess that's very subjective to say, but yeah, everybody just would always talk about like you guys like rehearsed, like had super long blocks and went in the middle of the night and like.
Nah, yeah. I mean, we would rarely go past 11. Saying like officially. Normally it's pretty standard, like 7 to 11, 9 to 10, 9 to 11 on Saturdays, 9 to 3, something like that on Sunday. But where we really got our ass kicked wasn't in rehearsal. It was afterwards, all the sectionals that we would have on pads and things like that. Those bad boys. Like we wanted to go home and hang out. One year, my first year we didn't. We went home and we drummed until like 3 a.m.
Jesus.
Like regimented, pragmatic chop outs, primers, book chunks from I'm talking like 12 to 3 a.m.
We're at the bar.
Eventually,
we're at the bar or house parties or.
Yeah.
Well, so my question I was going to ask you is the years that I was in X in 11 and 12, around the same time you were in Mystique, I always got the opinion. We were talking about. Every group's doing different stuff, hits the drum differently, different styles, whatever. I always felt like Mystique, at least in those years, kind of played in a box, if that makes sense. The snare line. Do you feel the same, or?
I think by design, and they still kind of do it. I mean, I don't know. The same, different people are teaching there, so it could be different. But just technically, right, from a mechanic standpoint, They don't incorporate a lot of arm or flow, at least when I marched. Like, we did a little bit more in 13, but it's, like, so wrist-driven. And I think that was, like, the best thing for me to kind of backtrack a little bit, to go to Mystique. Because before I was at Mystique, in my head, like, I kind of went through phases where, like, I saw Blue Coats 08, I wanted to be a Blue Coat so bad. And then I wanted to be a Rennick dude. So I, like, formed this, like, version of Rennick hands of my own. Like, I watched these videos and I was like super army, and like I thought that was what drumming like a Rennick dude was all about. So I got really good at it, like my version of Rennick. And then I tried to do the Rennick route. I went to Boston, wasn't for me. and then went to Mystique, and like they're very wrist oriented, right? So they wrist it so much to almost to where like they almost think about not using the arm to a detriment. Like sometimes it's natural to use that bad boy, but they like don't, right? And I think that helped me a lot personally because it taught me the dexterity in my wrist and built up those muscles that I haven't been doing because of the way I drummed. But on the bad side, I guess, is sometimes it is played in a box. I think 11. I think they showed a good amount of dynamic range. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. Right? I think but once again, it's just a different style, right? They don't use a ton of arm. But I do think they did a good
11?
job. Mantra.
Oh, okay.
I think they did a good job of, exploring all the dynamic ranges and looking natural, maybe a little bit more natural. In 12, it was the strangest thing. We came out in January and we were balling. Like if you type in Music City Mystique 2012 first lot, it is nuts. We are so clean and we play comfortably. We play normal heights, but somehow during the season, we just decided to not go over 9 inches. I don't know how it happened, but especially being on the end, like everything we did was like 9 to 3, 6 to 3. Like we couldn't go any higher or we'd be told we're overbalancing. It was the strangest thing. So definitely in 12, I think we played in the box. 11, maybe, but generally I think stylistically, I think it's a lot more almost like so refined, like so visually and aesthetically trying to look the exact same with the wrists and the mechanics that it does end up kind of being in that box you're talking about.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I got you.
Cool.
But now, obviously, it sounds like you have a slightly modified pedagogy or methodology of both that you probably, I would say, adopt to what you do now with AQ.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's like what I really enjoyed about like my progression is like a lot of how I got better was just like me doing stuff on my own and me like trying to emulate what I'd seen and like being wrong or being kind of right. And then just being exposed to different stuff, like being exposed when I was at Terminus, right? That embarrassingly bad world-class group I told you about.
The Clown King.
Yeah, Clown King. Captain Clown, baby. I got taught by a guy named Lance Kindle, who's incredible. He's an incredible solo snare drummer. He marched Phantom 03, Harmonic Journey. He was a Blast. He marched Blast for a long time, was like one of their solo snare drummers. He taught me a ton about touch and velocity, and like he used a good amount of wrist and arm. And that's kind of where I like learned a decent amount about balance, decent amount about velocity and all this and like natural arm. And I kind of went overboard and tried to make my version of Rennick. And then I went to Mystique, right? And I learned all this wrist stuff. And then I went to Blue Coats and learned all this flow stuff and incorporating natural arm and Mike Jackson and all these different approaches. And it allowed me, I think, to like pick and choose what I liked, pick and choose what I disagreed with, and just like I think form the best way that I like to drum. And then, there was a guy that taught with me at Atlanta Quest a couple years ago, a guy named Aaron Fisher. And this is even after I stopped, after I aged out. Right now I'm just teaching. He was an SEV Rennick guy for like 5 years, and he's the head snare tech there, I think, the head guy at SEV now. And I even learned some stuff from him that I incorporated. So, I mean, I learned, I like, and I tell kids to like try to march different places.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I'm kind of the same vein where I didn't stick around. I mean, I did 2 years at X, but I did like 3 different high-level groups that all played differently. So the same vein of what you're talking about, I was exposed to all different kinds of touches, different levels of velocity, different balances you had to fit in, approach to the drum. And I think it's allowed me to, like you said, develop a way that I like to drum and a system and a way to teach kids how to drum. In a way that will allow them to go to a lot of different places. Yeah,
I agree. And I mean, we've got kids at Atlanta Quest, right? And they all come from different places. And they're all scattered all around the country right now, auditioning at Crown and Mandarin, Spirit and Blue Devils and Blue Coats and Crossman and all this stuff, SEV. And they're all doing pretty well. Because I think, we work on a couple things that I think, translate across a lot of different things. And obviously they got to tweak, some stuff. But I think a lot of what I teach is like a hodgepodge of a lot of stuff I've learned that takes pieces from each thing, from each experience. So, but if you march Atlanta Quest, don't leave to march anywhere else. But if you're listening to this, but if you're anywhere else, try to get some other exposure and maybe learn. I think the dudes that just like, march the indoor group with the one guy, and then march the outdoor group with the one guy, and they just do like 7-8 seasons with like one staff. Like, I get that, it's fun, but they're getting really great at one thing and they're mastering it. But I think like long term, I think there's some value in marching different places. Yeah, and I think you'll do that naturally. Like if you started a lower group, learn a little bit here, get your, step up to this group and whatnot, kind of while you build. I think it may happen naturally, but
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, speaking of like kids going everywhere, I was supposed to go up to Cap City this weekend, but they only have 2 snare drummers that are going to be there because 6 of the other ones are at drum corps camps. So I'm like, I'm not coming up this weekend, guys. I'll come up again later. But yeah, I almost marched Blue Coats just because I was going to leave Crown and be like, I just want to do something different. And I know like Ryan Ellis did Spirit and did Blue Coats for 2 years and then left Blue Coats and go march BD. So people just want to feed their brain, man, feed their knowledge, which is good.
Yeah.
Unless you're marching Atlanta Quest, don't leave.
Unless you hit, don't leave, stay.
Yeah, stay.
Except I may try to steal you away.
You're 0 for 1.
0 for 1. Yeah. That was a pretty unusual scenario. Anyway. But well, speaking of that, so how many years now have you been teaching at AQ?
This is 6. This is my 6th.
Dang, I didn't realize it'd been that long.
So you probably started right when you aged out, right?
Yeah, so I aged out in 2013, and then I was actually going to teach at Palmetto Percussion, which is now Equinox. They were the group.
RIP.
Yeah, RIP. They were the group in South Carolina, a little bit away. And I don't even know who hooked me up there. Like, I had a friend, Elliot Cleveland, who lived up there. He's Marching Health. You know Marching Health?
I have seen that. That dude who's like a physical therapist and posts all the,
That's him. So he was a friend of mine. And maybe he got me the gig. Maybe it was my friend Steve Nelson. But I was going to teach at Palmetto, actually, for the 2014 season. And unfortunately, my mom got sick. And I decided, like, I couldn't drive 3 hours, right? 2.5 hours. I was going to stay closer. So I hit up my friend Zach, the aforementioned Zach Marshall, who was the visual guy there. He started in 13. So, hey, you guys need a snare tech. And he got me in there, and I started in 14, and I lucked out, man. That was the first year they went from open to world class. And we came out balling. It was crazy. We had 10 snares. One was a quad drummer who had like never used traditional grip before. He's just barely hanging on. Like he watered the book himself, and like I knew it, but I didn't tell him to not because I know he couldn't actually play what was on the page, right? So
like he's like taking flams out and stuff.
This dude is taking grace notes out. He's checking rolls in the back of forms. He's doing a lot. I'm dead, and
that's
we all
awesome.
Yeah, I know what's happening, but like I don't even care. I'm like, you made a business decision. Thank you, sir. That was smart.
It's best for the group.
Yeah, well done. But yeah, so we started and came out hot, man. We started in 8th. Came out in 8th my first year, which was crazy first experience. And then that was kind of involved. I was like the number 2 snare tech, and luckily I've been fortunate to have kind of worked my way up the ranks, I guess, over time. And I think 16 is when I started running the battery with Anye there with me, kind of my co-pilot. But yeah, 5 years. 5 years in a row we've made finals, which is pretty cool. Do I wish we were closer to 8th every year than 15th? Yes, I do. But it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, year 6.
Well, we've talked about this many times too, but 8th place 5 years ago is probably honestly about what the equivalent of 12 through 14 is now. It's just
it's so much more competitive, and that's not to downplay what you all did that first year, but to me the fact is the average ability and clarity and show design level of world-class groups has just exponentially grown in the past 10 years.
I would agree. I mean, there's some shows that I think just like are gonna be awesome no matter what.
Yeah.
Like for me, like Rhythm XOA, you put that thing on the floor right now, I'm giving it first. Period. That show is perfect.
It's a very well designed show.
Yeah, love that show. Same with like MCM 11. You put that thing, I love it. But yeah, I agree. I think in general, especially visual packages, sound design. I think the weirdest thing is I think the best groups don't play as well as they used to. Like
I would agree with that. I
Yes.
would agree with that statement.
But I think the middle to back half of them do play way better than they used to. Like if I'm like watching 10th place in like 2005, like odds are they suck.
Yep.
But like we watch 10th place now, and maybe I'm like biased because we're like chilling in like 13th and stuff. But like I'll watch some group now. There's a couple where I'm like, how is this happening? Like why is this in finals? I can't understand.
Yeah.
But I would say generally like the mid-range dudes are better than they used to be.
What was 10th place this past year? What was that? I'm looking it up.
The
I'm
Plane
buying
Show?
myself time.
Oh,
10th place was Monarch. Ninth Strike was 9th. Okay. We'll move past that.
We'll get-
Taha,
don't
doing big
bring-
things in Texas.
my boy.
But like Matrix was 8th and United 7th. Like
Well, I don't know if Matrix is the best example of the mid grades playing well last year.
Is this going to turn into a Matrix hate
Well-
party?
white noise. All right.
Oh, don't get me going.
But you had like GMU 12th, PAL Percussion 11th. I mean,
Yeah, the quality of the middle of the pack has just gotten way better.
Yeah, I would agree.
So.
I would say on average the best groups play a little bit worse. Say the middle and the back half of the groups are playing way better, and quad lines are just not as good. Baselines are way better.
Yeah, I think baselines are better.
Baselines are every kid can split hand to hands these days, but
nuts.
nobody can play around.
Yep.
It's crazy. Every baseline is so good in terms of just like splitting stuff. Now balance and all that, whatever.
Yeah.
But every baseline just splits whatever they want, whenever they want. It's crazy.
It's wild.
I don't even know how you can judge it and you can differentiate. It's like, you guys did
They
did all
don't.
the things.
They don't. The judges just say, "Yeah, bass, nice." Like they don't know the difference.
You can't tell. Half the time
Goes
it's just
by so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are more bass drummers that can play hand to hands than quad drummers can play 3 inches. Guaranteed.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And it might be by a factor of 10. Like it may not even be close.
It's probably not close. Well, it's actually very ironic. We were talking with Anya a little bit about that last week and just why, but we're just like, we don't know. But I just think that bass drum has become, it's like the trend thing right now. It's like, yeah, everybody wants to do it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
cool.
Everybody wants to put snare splits in, which I hate.
I'm cool with one, man. You give me one cool snare split, I'm down with it.
I don't think it ever sounds good.
Well, you didn't like Cavaliers' 9 different snare drums, just 15 different times. No?
Oh, it was so overused.
No,
They beat
I did
that
not.
horse to death.
Yeah,
But I am excited about the Cavaliers having the Max Schreiber dynamic.
Oh, my
Dude,
God.
that's going to be unstoppable. Oh, man. I can't wait.
Driver.
I can't wait.
What a guy.
He's a genius.
He's the best. He's the best snare tech I've ever had.
I would probably agree with that.
That dude's ears are nuts. He just
They
hears
are.
everything.
He's a monster.
Yeah. That's going to be crazy.
Yep.
I'm excited for that.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're jumping all over the place. But in your regards, this is kind of like a personal thing I've noticed because I've been out of the game for a while. Like, I taught in 2013, and then I took a hiatus, and now I'm teaching again back in WGI at least. And you've been in it from 13 till now. But I feel like just going through, like, this whole audition process and, like, finding kids and, like, you're recruiting kids. You're like, yeah, we got to be competitive. We got to recruit. We got to talk to these kids during the summer, during the fall. Like, hey, you coming up to audition, this, that, this, and that. But, man, these kids are mad flaky when it comes to just, like, yeah, I'm going to do this group.
Yeah. I don't know if they're flakier than we like our age was, but I know when I was marching, like no snare techs like reached out to me, right? Like no one actually. I don't know if people actively recruited or if it was just the members that recruited, right? I don't know. Maybe it did happen. Maybe battery coordinators were reaching out to everyone and saying, "Hey, come march my group."
I never got reached out to unless I was a vet.
Yeah, exactly. I never really had that happen. But once again, I had a pretty quick stint, right? I was only at the highest level for 3 seasons.
That's true. I was the same way, 10, 11, and 12. It was a short little window.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I think we probably noticed them flaking more. I imagine, back in 07, 08, kids flaked, but you weren't talking to them on Facebook, and they weren't in an audition group saying, I'm so excited, and then they don't show up and then go to another group or whatever. So I don't know, maybe, but
or even I don't know if you've had this experience, but we had 2 kids quit. They made it and then they quit, and I was like, wait, what? I just remember I guess maybe it's me personally, but if I got offered a spot, I was just like, yeah, there's no way that I'm not doing this at all.
That's pretty much how I was.
Yeah, I don't think kids, man, and I sound old, right? I'm about to be 28, but I sound old.
We are old, TJ. We are old.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the average kid has that level of responsibility and accountability in them. They think they get to retake tests in high school if you fail it, right? You get to do all this stuff. And it's so centered around them feeling good and them being okay that they feel they can just do whatever they want to make them feel better. So they can just quit. They can just commit to something and then bail. Rather than being accountable and being responsible and handling your business, right? So I think it's a slight cultural thing, but I think it's also we probably just see it more than they do.
Probably.
We see the person, we see their name, we've talked to them with a few messages, they've expressed excitement and they flake. I don't think that happened 10 years ago. But I don't know.
True.
Yeah, we've had a kid. We had a kid quit every year from 15, 16. I think 16, 17, 18. We had a kid quit every year. Yeah, 16. Yeah, kid ran out of money in 16. 17. Yeah, kid just wasn't hanging and he knew it and he bailed. And then 18, we had a kid come in, drum corps stud, and then he was like, school's kicking my ass. So I don't know. I also think it's way more expensive than it used to be. It's a burden.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's a pretty big financial commitment to pay the dues and get there. Especially talking with kids who are doing drum corps now these days. They're talking about their camp fees and their tour fees. I'm like, wait, what? How much does it cost?
Yeah, dude.
And I'm just like, whoa.
So I think they're excited and they really want to do it and they audition and then they realize the reality of for indoor. And I think our dues are cheap. Ours are $1,200. But they see the reality of having to pay $1,500-$1,600. Like, oh shit. Or the reality of having to pay $3,500 to march drum corps, and they they get afraid and they bail or whatever. I don't know.
And then they're looking at I got to get there too, the gas each weekend or this and that. Yeah, it's crazy. I was very fortunate to have the support of my parents to march drum corps, but dude, I was looking at some of these kids tour packets and their tour fees, and I was like, that's that's how much I bought my car for when I was 16.
Yeah, how do kids do it years in a row?
I did too, and I thought that was a lot of people oh yeah, I'm marching my 6th year. I'm like, you just spent money. You spent a down payment on a house.
Yeah, to have your ass kicked all summer.
Yeah.
I don't think drum corps is a sustainable model. 1, for financially, and 2, all the
stuff coming out.
Shitstorm of stuff coming down the pipe.
Do we want to spend some time addressing that elephant in the room, or you want to leave it alone?
I mean, we can if you want. I don't care. Basically, you're talking about that most recent article about Mike Stevens that came out?
Yeah.
I didn't read it. I
skimmed it.
I saw the thumbnail. That was today, for reference.
Yeah,
it came out today.
It came out today.
Basically, from what I skimmed and read in it.
I read it.
You read the whole thing? Well, then I'll let you talk and summarize it.
I read the whole thing. It's basically a few different accounts of women who were recanting their experiences with Mike, both in high school and from OCI, indoor and outdoor, and him taking advantage of his position. Of course, these are I'll be very legal about it. All allegations against him, and nothing has been proven, but it's pretty indicative and repetitive. So my opinion is it doesn't sound good for sure. And I think that the amount of stuff that's coming out recently, obviously with George Hopkins and just others that I know of offhand that have not been made public yet. So I'll hold off on that. It's not going to be good for the activity, and DCI has been unregulated in that regard for so long that I'm sure there's just tons of stories like this out there.
It's just the weirdest like environment in the world. Yeah. It's just so weird. Like when you think about it outside of your scope of understanding the activity, and you just explain it to a normal person on the street. Yeah, 14 to 21 to 22-year-olds live together on a bus.
And then you have staff members that are probably a lot of them are 22, 23.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
weird.
I was on tour with the Bluecoats for 2 weeks after I aged out in 2012. I volunteered on the Suvi truck for like 3 days with my friend Josh Sneed, and then they asked me to stick around for 2 weeks because they were light on visual staff for the next 2 weeks. And there was a girl in the color guard that I had marched with. Now, I'll disclaimer, nothing ever happened between us. We were friends. But because I was back on tour again, she was marching her age out. I had just staged out. And we were hanging out and talking and shooting the shit from time to time. It didn't take that happening for a day of me being around that the corps director approached Tim Jackson, the visual caption head, and like they pulled me to the side and they were like, hey, you cannot associate inappropriately with the children. And from everything I've heard, the Bluecoats, I think, have always had a pretty firm stance on that and policed it pretty well. But it was kind of eye-opening and made me really think, like, that's got to be weird. Like, you have staff members all the time who might have been dating members that are still in the corps when they were marching the summer before. So how do you handle that?
I don't know.
It's just a weird situation.
Just a weird dynamic. And like I was actually having a conversation with Mike and somebody else earlier, just like recanting things that I did when I was in drum corps. And I'm like, my age out, or my 21-year-old year, I hadn't aged out, but I was 21 at the time, living on a bus and sleeping in the same building as like 16 and 17-year-olds. I'm like, I have to change and get ready for the show on the bus. So here I am changing, they're changing, we're all together, they're minors, like I'm considered an adult. I'm like, this probably, like, thinking back on it now, it's like, that's not a good situation.
No.
Now, to be fair, you should be able to do the right thing, right? Like, even in those conditions.
And I think the majority of people do.
If you're a good
majority of
person,
us do.
Yeah, you do the right thing. But, yeah, no, it's a weird environment, and
it's a lot of blurred lines.
I don't know. Like, if I had a kid in high school, I probably wouldn't I wouldn't let him. That's weird.
I don't think I would. If I had a high school kid that wanted to march, I may be willing to let them march an open class group because the average age is probably high school age of a lot of open class groups. You're probably still going to have some college kids, but the majority are going to be high school. So I would be very hesitant to let a child march like a top 12 world class corps as a high school student still.
Yeah. Now, if you're in college, yeah, do your thing. But
yeah, you're 18, whatever.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know.
But it'll be interesting. I think that in the next handful of years we'll witness a lot of changes in the drum corps activity. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if it was like, all right, you have to be 18 to do this.
Yeah, that was something that somebody earlier that I think it was when you and I were talking to our friend, he proposed. It was like, it might end up being 18 to 22 only.
That's a simple solution.
Yeah, simple it is. Solution.
So we'll see.
Yep,
but apart from it being financially, apart from that, it's like also financially, like, how are they starting to pay for this stuff? It's expensive to travel. It's expensive to do this. Drum corps lose housing. Independent groups lose housing. Like, that's housing.
Yep.
Every group's nightmare. But anyway, that was the most relative, I guess, or most recent thing of the activity that popped up today. Again.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, anybody got anything else? Evan, is there anything on the roadmap we skipped over or haven't hit yet?
The only thing else we skipped over was I had something written on here, Zaxby's or Cane's. So I have for the last 2 or 3 years, TJ, what do you think?
I think 3.
3 years. TJ and some of the crew from Atlanta Quest always drive up straight up I-75 towards Dayton from Atlanta for WGI finals. And my house, the city of Richmond, where I live, just happens to be a good stopping point for some dinner food before they finish out the last leg of their trip. And we always meet up at Cane's and get Raising Cane's and have some food and hang out and just catch up for a quick half hour or something. But I noticed on your Facebook, did you used to work at Zaxby's?
No doubt. I worked for I worked there for high school.
Now I have to ask, which is better, Zaxby's or Cane's?
Oh, it's no contest. It's Cane's all day.
It's the cane sauce,
the cane
man.
sauce.
The sauce.
It's strange. Everything it's the exact same stuff, but Cane's just does it better. Like the sauce is pretty much the same damn sauce, but Cane's is 8 times better. The chicken is objectively way better. The fries are objectively way better. The bread I like a little bit more at Cane's, but I could get the argument for Zaxby's. But no, it's no contest. Like it's a runaway. Cane's all day. And it's funny, man. Like the executive director, the dude that writes the beats at Atlanta Quest, a guy named Alan Sears, he's a big Zaxby's fan, and I sell the hell out of Cane's. Like I sell it every time we go to Kentucky or Ohio. We went to Mississippi for my bachelor party, and we had to go to Cane's, and I was like, "Yo, this place is incredible." And he was really, really. I don't know. He wasn't buying it. He was making sure that he didn't buy in too much because he loves Zaxby's. But he went one time. He was like, "Damn, like it's not even close. It's a runaway. It's just night and day."
Oh man,
night and day. Yeah.
Oh man.
What about you?
We'll have to do that again this year, man.
Do you guys have Zaxby's out there?
Yeah, we do have.
Yeah,
Zaxby's.
we do.
I don't go, but we have it.
Yeah, Cane's is way better.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Well,
but yeah,
we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes coming up on now. You guys, I don't think I've got anything else. I think we covered a lot of stuff, and
yeah, I pretty much made it through my list. Some stuff that wasn't on the list here, and Chad Ochocinco definitely got it in there, so I was glad I did not forget that. It's funny because we always get off, and we're like, oh man, there was something that I forgot to say, but whatever.
No, it's all good.
What was it we forgot to ask Anya about? Oh, teaching Blue Knights.
We never talked about his teaching. Like, we totally forgot and glossed over it. Like, I texted you.
Is teaching just in general?
Teaching drums.
We got entranced with Anya talking about being an actor now and stuff.
Yeah.
I listened to that. He was just, it was a lot of talking about being on Captain America, which I think is cooler than teaching drums.
Well, I tried to find the scene. I Googled that scene he was talking about. Was he ever on camera?
I don't know.
Probably, but
I don't know. I couldn't find it. Anya, correct me. Tell me where it is.
You didn't miss anything. I'm sorry, I'm not talking about you didn't miss anything about Anya. I'm saying if we didn't talk about something with me, I'm not a very deep dude, so there's not like a lot of crazy wisdom that I would throw at you.
No, it's been a good one. It's been an enjoyable podcast. I hadn't talked to you in forever. I'm gonna come down to Cane's because Evan lives about an hour and a half away. When you guys drive up this year.
April.
What?
I talked to you in April. You were in our lot.
Well, yeah, but that was like 8 months ago.
I guess you're right. That is a long time.
Yeah, 8 months is not a short period of time.
No, you're right.
No, but I'm gonna come down when you guys stop at Cane's again, and I'll hang out, and then I'll be at WGI Finals again and Evan as well too. So.
All right.
We'll get to hang out.
Yeah, when we come up to that terrible regional in Highlands Heights.
Oh my God, that's right.
What?
It's just a shambles.
What
regional?
Is the
Mid-East?
It used to be at WKU. Now it's at NKU.
It's an embarrassment.
What a travesty. WGI took an event.
Diddle
Arena.
Yeah,
and moved it to somewhere else. Like, come on.
Well, we don't know. It might have been WKU that forced them out. It might not have been WGI's decision.
I don't know. I did look at WKU's schedule last year. It was wide open on the same weekend.
Oh man, that's a shame.
They had to be making money. So whatever.
I don't know. But yeah, so we go up twice, Fantini. We go up
All right.
once in March and once in April.
Evan, is Cap City going to the Mid-South Regional?
I have no idea. Probably.
All right, I would think so. Not too far. Closer than
Pretty
Atlanta
close.
Quest is.
Yep.
For sure.
All right, well, let's close this out. So thank you, everybody, for listening to us again, as always. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Podbean, Instagram, Spotify. Like us on Facebook. And we will just see everybody again in a couple weeks.
Peace.